Nama Om Krishna Padaya Krishna Vastaya Bhattali Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Namani Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Vacharini Nirvishesha Sunyavadi Paskachai Desatarani. Hare Krishna. So we are in the third part of our seminar. The third part of our seminar deals with the question, who can chant the holy name? We have heard before the characteristics of the holy name, how it came from Goloka Vrindavan to this material world. But the fact just that the Mahamantra comes from Goloka Vrindavan means it is completely spiritual. Srila Prabhupada writes about this. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu belongs to the spiritual world, and his methods for propagating the Sankirtan movement are also imported from the spiritual world. So not only the holy name comes from the spiritual world, but also the methods of the Sankirtan. Srila Narottam Das Thakur has sung Kolokera Prema Dan Harinam Sankirtan Ratina Jamila Keditaya. This states that the Sankirtan movement has nothing to do with the material world. It is imported from the spiritual world. So, the holy name has nothing to do with this. The name is Krishna. Krishna has no limitations. He can eat with his eyes, but see with his ears. No limitations. We are limited. If we are becoming absorbed in a conversation with a person, then we can only have that deep conversation with this person, not with two persons at the same time. But Krishna is expanded everywhere. We can have a relationship with everyone at the same time. So it's unlimited that he can interact with many people at the same time. So it's completely spiritual. In Bhagavad Gita, Krishna speaks about the nature of the spirit soul. And it's also mentioned that the spirit soul cannot be affected by anything material. This, the second chapter, Nainam Shindanti Shastrani Nainam Tahati Pavaka. Nachinam Pledyantyapur Nasusashati Maruta. Cannot be cut to pieces by any weapon. Cannot be burned by fire, moistened by water, or withered by the wind. Ashedyam Udayam Akledya Sasyevasa Nitya Savagata Stanu Atsalyam Sanatana. Individual soul is unbreakable, insoluble, cannot be burnt, nor be dried. It's everlasting, present everywhere, unchangeable, immovable, and eternally the same. This is Bhagavad Gita. So that means the holy name is spiritual, and we are spiritual souls, spiritual, both spiritual. That means that our relationship, the relationship between the individual soul and the holy name, cannot be affected by anything material. It's not possible. There can be no material impediment. Therefore, the holy name can be chanted by everyone, and everyone. That there is no consideration of age, gender, race, education. So Srila Prabhupada explains this Srila Prabhupada, the chanting of Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, is directly enacted from the spiritual platform, surpassing all lower states of consciousness, namely sensual, mental, and intellectual. There is no need of understanding the language of the mantra, nor is there any need of mental speculation, nor any intellectual adjustment for changing this mantra, for chanting this mantra. It springs automatically from the spiritual platform, and as such, anyone can take part in this transcendental sound vibration without any previous qualification and dance in ecstasy. We have seen it practically. Even a child can take part in the chanting, or even a dog can take part in it. And Srila Prabhupada mentioned about, at that time, the daughter of Malati Saraswati was 3 years old, and she would also experience the sublime effects of the chanting. This is from Prabhupada. This is from a letter to Mukunda, 96, February 17. Srila Prabhupada writes, regarding the picture you have sent, I am pleased to see, because our little Saraswati is also taking part in our transcendental movement. This is the practical proof. This is the practical proof how great is this movement. In any other movement, one has to learn something. One has to be trained to do something. But here is a movement where there is no necessity of any previous qualification. That is the proof of this movement, that this movement is based on the spiritual platform. The Bhagavad Gita says that system of religion is the first class. That system of religion is first class, wherein love of God that is aroused spontaneously without any material impediment. So our movement gives practical proof that there is no impediment of body and mind. That is the proof. That is the proof. It is enacted from the spiritual platform, wherein there is no distinction of material higher or others. So, summary, no one is disqualified from chanting. That's the message here. But in Bhagavad Gita, we hear Krishna saying other things. That it says, idam te na tapaskaskaya na bhaktaya kadachana na sasusrusape bacham na samamyo yasuyati. So after this verse is spoken by Lord Krishna, after he cited the conclusion of the Gita. Conclusion of the Gita is Manmana Bhav Matakto Machi Mam Mama Vaishya Satyam Ke Pratichan Kriyoshimi. Always think of me, become my devotee, worship me, and offer your respect to me. In this way, you will, without any doubt, you will come to me. Sarvadam Krishna Mamkam Sambhacham Tvam Sarvapapyam Akshishyam Machme. Just surrender unto me and forget all these other paths, these dharmas, these practices. Just do that, what I have explained in the previous verse. And don't worry, I take care of your reactions. And then Krishna says, but one who studies this dialogue between me and Arjuna, worships me with his intelligence. And one who explains the secret of devotional service to my devotees. He is very dear to me. But then he speaks this verse that I just read. But this confidential knowledge may never be explained to those who are not austere or devoted, or engaged in devotional service, or the one who is envious of me. So Krishna makes it clear here there are qualifications. That there are other qualifications Krishna speaks about in many places. In the 4th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says to Arjuna, I'm explaining this knowledge to you because you can understand it, Arjuna, because you are my friend and you are non-envious. And you are anaga, you are sinless, all qualifications, requirements. So why does Krishna then, in the form of Lord Chaitanya, does not make these distinctions? That's a question. But of course, in Kali Yuga, Krishna comes in the form of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is in the mood of Srimati Radharani. And is overwhelmed with ecstatic love. Is intoxicated by that. In that mood, he gives the holy name freely to anyone and everyone without discrimination. That is from Chaitanya Charitamrita. In distributing love of Godhead, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and his associates did not consider who was a fit candidate and who was not. Nowhere such distribution should or should not take place. They made no conditions. Whatever they got opportunity, the members of the Pancha Tattva distributed love of Godhead. Because Lord Chaitanya was criticized for that by the Smarta Brahmins. That Brahmins who think they are Brahmins by birth. Because in the Vedic culture, to pronounce the Vedic mantras, you must be qualified. You must go to purificatory rites. You must get a Brahmin thread, be educated, and study under a spiritual master. And then only you can start. You are eligible to pronounce the Vedic mantras. But Lord Chaitanya gave it free. No one had to undergo the purificatory rites for Brahminical initiation, which are traditionally done. But then, of course, these Brahmins did not understand the potency of the holy name. They were thinking that if unqualified people chant the names of God, then the potency of the name would be lost. And by that the Hindu religion would be spoiled also. Srila Prabhupada was criticized by many that he's spoiling. He gives initiation to Westerns and gives them Brahman initiation, sannyas initiation. That was also there in the time of Lord Chaitanya. And the Smarta Brahmins, they complained to the government, to the Kasi, and the Kasi sent soldiers to break their mridangas, putting an end to the chanting. But Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he was spirit unstoppable, because his mantra is spiritual. Also Srila Prabhupada was criticized he was criticized for spreading Krishna consciousness globally. But he was following Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and he went on spreading the Hare Krishna mantra with full conviction in the transcendental power of the holy name. So here is what Srila Prabhupada writes on this matter. He says, there are some rascals who dare to speak against the mission of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu by criticizing the Krishna consciousness movement for accepting Europeans and Americans as Brahmins and offering them sannyas. But here is an authoritative statement that in distributing love of God, one should not consider whether the recipients are Europeans, Americans, Hindus, Muslims. The Krishna consciousness movement should be spread whenever possible, and one should accept those who thus become Vaishnavas as being greater than Brahmins, Hindus, Indians. So Lord Chaitanya, he made it very clear that he pointed to Haridas Thakur, who was chanting 300,000 names of Krishna every day. He had been born in a Muslim family and he grew up eating meat. But he took the vows to chant 3 lakhs or 300,000 names every day. But still, like the Brahmins in Jagannath Puri would not allow Haridas Thakur into the temple. They are thinking him to be contaminated. But we know that Advaita Acharya, he offered the Shraddha to plate to Haridas Thakur, which is normally offered to first-class Brahmins. And Haridas Thakur objected and said, I'm a fallen person. And Advaita Acharya said, by offering this Shraddha to you, this plate to you, it's better than offering it to millions of so-called Brahmins. She was a pure devotee. So Haridas Thakur became the Namacharya. So that's clearly a proof. But there is more evidence from the Srimad Bhagavatam. First, we have Dhruva Maharaj. What does the example of Dhruva Maharaj show? Dhruva Maharaj, he was one of the 4 kinds of pious people who approaches Krishna for solving their problem. Shatur vidabhajantamam yechana sukitarana artha shihna shrachtarti yanisa bharatarshava. Best of the Bharatas, there are 4 pious people who are surrendering to me or approaching me. One who is in distress, that the one who is curious, the one who wants wealth, and the one who wants to know the absolute truth. So in which category is Dhruva Maharaj? Wealth, yeah. He wanted a kingdom greater than what his great-grandfather Brahma had. Brahma had the whole universe, so he wanted something more. That's quite a material desire. Can you have a bigger material desire? But that was how he started Krishna consciousness. And factually, all of us begin Krishna consciousness with, in one of these categories, that we have expectations in the beginning, that it takes a while before we come to the point what it means to have a purified desire. But yes, we see, of course, we know Dhruva Maharaj he wanted to climb, he was 5 years old, wanted to climb on the lap of his father. That, that his brother Uttam was sitting on the lap of his father. And yeah, it was Suruchi I think, was the favorite queen of the king, that King Uttanapad. And Suruchi said to Dhruva, how do you dare to climb up the lap of the king? That you can only do that if you leave your body and take birth from my womb. So, and then Dhruva became very disturbed and went to his mother Suniti, who was a devotee of Krishna. And Suniti said, yes, what can I do? I'm not a favorite queen of your father. That, but if you want someone to help you, there are great sages in the forest who are performing austerities, who are approaching the Supreme Lord. Only the Supreme Lord can help you. So she became, Suniti took the role of guru, actually. She was a Vakta Pradakshaka guru, the one who shows the way. And Dhruva decided to go to the forest to perform austerities. So he went to the forest and prepared for austerities. And then Narada Muni came by, and he asked Dhruva, what are you doing? And Dhruva explained all what happened, and he said that he decided to approach the Supreme Lord by doing austerities to please him, that get a greater kingdom than his great grandfather, Rama. And Narada Muni said, you're just a boy 5 years old. Go back to your mother. When you are grown up, you can do these austerities. This is not for a child. But Dhruva, Kshatriya blood, and said, no, I will do these austerities. And so Narada saw his determination. And he tricked him. He said, yes, you do your austerities, but while you do your austerities, you make a deity of the Supreme Lord. And you chant constantly the following mantra. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Vasudeva is the name of Krishna. So he was doing that, and then the first month, I think, he was only eating kapita foods. I remember when we went to the Bhaktivedanta course, we were in that, it was Bhakti Vaibhav. That Rupa Maharaj. When we came to that pastime of Dhruva Maharaj, then we went to Dhruva Tila in Vrindavan. That we went from Vrindavan to Dhruva Tila. I don't know in which of the 12 forests it was, but anyway. that you can go there and it's a stairs brings you up to the hill where Dhruva Maharaj was doing these austerities. And we heard the pastime there from the Bhagavatam, from Bhujam Prabhu. Then after that, we took breakfast, kapita fruits, in a very, very hard berries. And the monkeys, they like it. So after a month of taking that, after that, I think he only took leaves. And then after a month later, only water every 2-3 days. And then then after that, he was stopping his breathing. That was breathing once a day or something. Austerities, but at the same time, he was worshipping, always reciting this mantra and seeing the deity. And at a certain moment, he became so purified that he saw the Lord in his meditation, like the yogis in the heart. He was constantly fixed on it. He was standing on one day. And then at a certain moment, his meditation broke. He couldn't see the Lord in his heart anymore. And he opened his eyes, and Lord Vishnu standing before him. It's called Krishna Garbha Vishnu. Yes, Krishna Garbha. Because Krishna and Sutapa were Vasudev and Devaka in their previous lives. In the previous life, the Lord appeared as Vishnu in that form. But Dhruva saw it, and then by seeing the Lord appearing before him, he felt ecstatic and blissful. And he felt, yes, this is a greater pleasure than anything material. So I don't want this kingdom, which is greater than my of something greater than my great grandfather Brahma. I don't want it anymore. And he praised the Lord who touched him with the conch. And he was in pure consciousness, and he prayed his very beautiful prayers and expresses to the Lord, I wanted broken glass, but now I have a diamond. I don't want these desires anymore. But that shows by chanting the holy name, even if you have an impure desire, your desire will be purified. And you become qualified for pure devotion, gradually. So the chanting of the holy name itself makes you qualified. Of course, provided you chant properly, that we will see on Sunday, because that's a very important point to avoid the offenses. But yes, that he came gradually to first class devotion, or his desire was purified. Anyabilasta Sunam Jnana Kamal Naftam Ankuriana Krishna Sila. His first class devotion. His first class devotion is explained in so many ways in the Bhagavatam. Of course, this is the verse from Rupa Goswami, Anyabilasta Sunam. No other desires than to please the Lord favorite. It means without any desire for material wealth or sense gratification, without desire for liberation, just to please the Lord favorite. But there are other definitions of pure devotion service. The division of de definition of Narada Muni, Sarvapa, definition tam tap part van Adirmanam, Rishikesha, Rishikena, Seven and Bhaktivittama. Pure devotional service is service rendered without any upadis, without any, yeah, upadis means coverings of false evil. Because we are the spirit soul, and acting as a spirit soul means acting for the pleasure of Krishna. That if we act for the pleasure of the body, we are acting as the body. And that's an upadi. That's a covering. So without all these coverings, these upadis, means the coverings are the material desires. They are coverings. And because material desires means identifying with the body. Because the fulfillment of the material desires is for the body, for the soul. So this is the definition of Narada Muni. Then there is also the definition of the Bhagavatam, a few definitions. One is Sabai Pumsa Paroda Moya Truva Theodoxia Aitkapati Ayatma Shukshidati. Sabai Pumsa Paroda. That's the occupational activity of the spirit soul. The activity of the spirit soul is offering devotional service to the Supreme Lord, who cannot be seen by material eyes, beyond the senses. But this, to be counted as pure devotional service, it must be a haidaki apatiyata, without material desires. That and haidaki apatiyata means continuously, always. And then we will get the satisfaction of the soul, the ecstasy. Yayatma Suprashidati. And the Atma, the soul, Suprashidati, becomes very satisfied. That's explained. So, but that is pure devotional service. But Rupa Maharaj, he started off with the greatest material desire. So, yes, but of course, like I said yesterday, the Lord was pleased with Dhruva Maharaj, but he fulfilled his material desires anyway. That's interesting. But he fulfilled them in a spiritual way. He gave him service, the service to preside over that the universe. So in that way, he could serve the Lord to his heart's content. That is too much is now Dhruva. Then Dhruva is described as a spiritual planet. When the whole universe is devastated, that planet remains to exist eternally. So this pastime shows that there is, the power of the holy name. So Dhruva missed all spiritual qualifications. That he didn't have even the desire to engage in spiritual life. But the holy name transformed his life and his consciousness and brought him to the position of devotional service. So, yes, of course, one may say Dhruv Maharaj was an innocent boy that, and although he was materially motivated, he was intentionally approaching God. And like I said, Chatur Chanting, he was one of the four pious who are approaching God. That, and he had the blessings of Narada Muni. That, but what about people who are not pious? Are they qualified? And who have no blessing of the spiritual master? And whose life is full of sinful activities? That will the chanting of the holy name also work for them? What's your answer? Yes, answer is yes. And what is the example of the Bhagavatam? Please. Bilvamangal Thakur, that's not an example from the Bhagavatam. Certainly, that's a good example. He got the blessings of Shintamani, that the prostitute. Yes, Ajamil, that's the standard example of the Bhagavatam. Jamil, that's in the beginning of the sixth canto, that because at the end of the fifth canto, there Sukadev Goswami had told Maharaj Pariksit about the hells, all the kinds of hells in this universe, and how that our people are suffering in these hells. And Maharaj Pariksit, his heart was filled with compassion, and he's asking his spiritual master, these people are going to hell, that how can they avoid going to these hells? And that brings us to this pastime of Ajamil. Much more to say about this pastime. But we know Ajamil, in the beginning of his life, he was a devotee, but later he became attracted to a prostitute. And he became consumed by lusty desires. He rejected his good wife, his Brahman parents. He lived with a prostitute, degraded woman. And he got many children to her. He engaged in criminal activities to get money for his family. That cheating became his possession. He was the only son of his parents, and he was expected to take care of them in their old age, but he looted their household and abandoned them. He was arrogant, selfish, always intoxicated, maddened by lust. He transgressed all scriptural injunctions. He was extravagant, sinful. And the Bhagavatam explains that at the age of 88, that he one time he was on his deathbed, and he was calling out his son Narayan. But some way by providence, he had called his son Narayan, holy name Krishna. And we know when the Yamadutas, the servants of Yamaraj, the god of death, who punishes all the sinful people, that his assistants, the Yamadutas, went to get the soul of uh, of Ajamil. But yes, we know that the Vishnu Dutas, that they protected Ajamil because he chanted holy name. In fact, Narayan is not a name of Vishnu, who is not an incarnation of Krishna. By chanting this holy name, the Lord just once, not even intending, not even intending to address the Lord, but calling for his small son Ajamil, experienced something amazing. 4 messengers of Lord Vishnu, the Vishnu Dutas, immediately appeared in his room. They were beautiful and effulgent, dressed in yellow silk with flower garlands, attractive elements. They had eyes shaped like lotus petals, and 4 arms, and bearing the symbols of Lord Vishnu. With resounding voices, they ordered the Yamadutas to release Ajamil. But the Yamadutas argued, why should we release him? He has performed so many sinful acts for which he did never any atonement. He's going to hell. But the Vishnu Dutas calmly countered. Simply by chanting the holy name of Narayan in his helpless condition, Ajamil has atoned for all his sins, not only from this life, but for millions of previous lifetimes. No matter what a person has done, one may be a thief, a drunkard, a butcher, a rapist, or a murderer. If they simply chant the holy name of the Lord, they attract the Lord's attention, and their protection and deliverance by the Lord is guaranteed. The chanting does not even have to be pure. So in Harinam Chintamani, it is said that the chanting of Jamil was on the level of Namabas, in the lower spheres of Namabas. Namabas is like when we chant the holy name is like the sun. But the potency of the sun we experience only if there are no clouds between. And of course, when the sun comes up, the clouds may be there, but we see the daylight already. And that's Namabas. Namabas means we get the reflection of the holy name, that of the power of the holy name, not the full potency, but that starts to manifest only if we chant without offenses, without material desires, without any intentions, selfish intentions. He was just calling his son, and it acted. There's much more to say on that, but Haridas Thakur explained why. We will see that later. Just by such chanting, you can attain liberation. Because liberation is not the goal of the chanting. It's a stage that, but yes, this is from Haridas Thakur. One who chants the holy name of the Lord is immediately freed from the reactions of unlimited sins, even if it chants indirectly to indicate something else, jokingly, for musical entertainment, or even neglectfully. This is accepted by all the learned scholars of the scriptures. So anyway, it's a pastime to study more deeply so many details about it, but it shows the potency of the holy name. we chant properly, then we will come into this namabhas. Namabhas is called anartha-nivritti. Anartha-nivritti means that anarthas, it's destroying anarthas. What are anarthas? Unwanted things, unwanted desires in the heart. That the desires to exploit this material world, born out of lust, anger, greed, madness, illusion. That material desires. That and it destroys, it starts to remove these material desires. So in the beginning, when we chant, we are not immediately having that effect that the heart. We will discuss that on Sunday more deeply. That this is the stage of anartha-nivritti on namabhas. Because we will learn you have 3 stages in the chanting. Offensive chanting, then the clearing stage, and then the chanting of the pure name, Sudanam. Offensive chanting is a beginning, and some, but very little material desires. The effect is very low in the offensive chanting. But when the offenses cease, and that 10 offenses, which we'll discuss on Sunday, then you come to the clearing stage, anartha-nivritti. And if one chants namabhas, what is the effect? It purifies the heart. And when the heart is completely purified after 30, 40 years of chanting, then you come to nishtha, or liberation from material existence. But then real spiritual life begins, because that's the Brahma Buddha stage, that's the liberated stage. And then from there, from this Brahma Buddha, if we continue chanting, the chanting will produce love of God. That's a higher stage. But I used to give a seminar based on Harinam Chintamani. And the Madhurika Nambini from Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur that explains these stages. That, and it's important for devotees to be aware of these stages, know where you are and how you can continue, what you should do to go to the next stage. That will, but yeah, we will discuss later then how to chant this holy name. So first, tomorrow morning we will discuss what happens when we chant. And then after understanding that, how to chant holy name. Any questions? Yes?
Prajumna Prabhu related a story, a conversation he heard with Srila Prabhupada, where a devotee was telling Prabhupada, yeah, I really enjoyed the kirtan. And Prabhupada said, no, this is for Krishna's enjoyment. Would that also be in the category of namabhas?
That's interesting. That Prabhupada said to Pradyumna, that yes, Pradyumna said, I enjoyed the kirtan, right? And then how that then Prabhupada said, no, that it's for the pleasure of Krishna. So that we will discuss tomorrow. We are the servant of the holy name. And that's important, to serve the holy name. But enjoying the kirtan in itself is not a sign of namabhas. because it depends of the inner attitude of the person. We cannot look in the heart of the person by external signs, but of course, Prabhupada could see our intentions. He was special. He had the power to see them.
Our senses are part and parcel of Krishna's senses.
Yeah.
So if we're doing something for Krishna's pleasure, the side effect will also be pleasure.
Yeah, that brings to the point that the Veda says, the Vedanta says, Ananda Maya Vyasat, meant. The living entity is meant for transcendental pleasure. We are meant for that pleasure. But that pleasure we can derive only when we give pleasure to Krishna. Then we partake in the pleasure of Krishna. And that's what we are meant for. Thank you. Okay. I shall stop here because we have some guests who will come, and we will continue tomorrow with the next part. Of course, there are more examples of the power of the Holy Name. That's not okay. Thank you very much. No,